Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way. I was going to say it's an evening briefing. I always say I'm going to say that, but yeah, it is definitely an evening briefing. A TCW React video to Brendan Rodgers and James Forrest press conferences as Trophy Day awaits. My name is Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley on the X handle. Tonight I'm joined, as always, by Tony Haggerty at A Haggerty10. How you doing, Tony?
Great. Just last few days, I just kept smiling. Can't stop smiling. It's magic. It's just a great feeling, isn't it?
Yep, definitely somebody. I was going to say about we never stop there. We can definitely talk about him as well. Before we get
Yeah.
into the press conferences, we can talk about his nice words he had towards Brendan Rodgers, his staff, and all the players. Of course, I'm talking about Ange Postecoglou, who wished the team well and said that he was, "I love them, mate," was his words when he was asked about Celtic. It was a doubt. I was listening to other parts of that press conference from Ange Postecoglou today, and his face lit up when Celtic were mentioned. It's just that it has that effect on people, doesn't it? And it has an effect on a former manager too. Great to see him still looking out for the scores and actually watching the games.
Yeah. I told you, see, we were talking about Joe Hart this morning, weren't we? About that love for the club. Once it gets under your skin, it never leaves you. But it'll never leave Ange. And who's to say he won't do a Brendan Rodgers and come back at some point, Ryan, before he eventually hangs up his managerial hat, tracksuit, suit, whatever you want to, whatever managers have. What do they
He's
have?
wearing everything down there. He's
Yeah,
wearing absolutely
correct.
everything. He kind
Exactly.
of goes
So
with everything.
it's created a lasting impression on him, hasn't it? And he knew exactly how Brendan Rodgers felt. That's what he was talking about, standing on the stairs or the steps at Celtic Park and addressing the fans, because he's been in that movie. He was in that movie for the 2 seasons that he was at the club. So yeah,
Yep.
fond memories of Ange. But we look to the future and our own manager, and hopefully he can create more wonderful memories moving forward.
Yeah. And tomorrow's going to have a couple of wonderful memories already. The plans have already been set. The fans will descend onto the Gallowgate after the game as well as the title day celebrations in Celtic Park. It's going to be a packed crowd. It's just going to be a great day. I can't wait to
I don't know.
sample it all.
I don't know if you saw the tweet on social media, which I thought was funny, made me laugh. That somebody said Glasgow Council had given the Celtic supporters to call the Gallowgate the champions again, Elise, which I thought was terrific. I thought it was lots of humour abounding over the past few days, but I quite liked that. That tickled me. Ryan, or the champs again, Elise, I think it was said. So
Yeah.
as in the Champs Elysees in Paris, so magic. I liked that.
Yeah.
It was great, funny.
Absolutely. Before we get on to talking about the press conferences, I just want to say a big shout out to MPH Boilers, who are sponsoring this video, and they have Weissman, who are a global leader in the boiler industry. They've teamed up together to MPH and Weissman for an award-winning installation team, making it a perfect match right here in Scotland. Their boilers are engineered to deliver not just warmth, but unparalleled efficiency and reliability. Cutting-edge technology that's designed to save you on energy bills and reduce emissions. With MPH Boilers, you're getting service from the best in the business, a local team that's committed to excellence and customer satisfaction. You'll also get a free internet controller, making it a breeze to manage your heating anytime, anywhere. Plus, they're offering the first year service free. If your boiler is showing its age or you're considering an upgrade, this is your chance to get world-class engineering with local expert service. Weissman and MPH Boilers, happy to sponsor this video. All their links are in the description. Before we get on to talk about the press conference, one more thing. I have to do some of the housekeeping before we get to the good stuff. 6 months of access for a single £1. Plus, you could win lunch with a Celtic legend in Martin O'Neill, a legendary Celtic manager, the first manager I can properly remember when watching Celtic for the first time, tuning in to watch Seville. I know my dad was in Seville at that point, but watching his team in a European final, I can remember bits and bobs about it. That's the first manager I think of when I think of the first Celtic manager. If you want to have lunch with this Celtic legend, then please sign up to the website www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. All of our existing subscribers are already entered into this fabulous competition. So if you have not already got your place in the Celtic Way, please join us. £1 for 6 months. You'll be sorted until the middle towards the end of November. And yeah, you'll be in with a shout of winning this amazing prize. So get involved, guys. Now, today, James Forrest and Brendan Rodgers both faced the media. Two really good press conferences as well, is what I would say. And they're obviously in a very, very good place at the moment. A lot of questions were dominated by James Forrest and his international selection. Be interesting to see if he does make the 26-man squad when it's announced next Wednesday. But quite an insightful press conference from James Forrest where he was talking about where he keeps his winners' medals. He's got a specific room in which he keeps all of his medals. Have to be a big room because he's got so many of them, plus another one that's to come, maybe another one in a week's time in the Scottish Cup final too. Great that I think you're seeing a really mature James Forrest, because I didn't think he was the best with these press conferences in years gone by, but he's matured, and I think it was an absolute breeze for him today. He seemed to really enjoy speaking about his career and his turnaround. He's definitely matured, and fair play to him. He's doing really well.
Helps when you're winning, Ryan, and adding to that medal collection. And it is true what they say, with age comes wisdom and knowledge and experience and all that kind of stuff. So he's gotten more experience at dealing with the media, as you say. Some of his earlier ones, he had a real habit of saying yeah, no, yes, no for his answers. If you watch James Forrest's interviews gone by, and that's not having a pop at him, it's just an observation before anybody starts. But he would start every question with yeah, no, and then go on. And I don't know if he was.
I can hear it in my head. Yeah, I do agree with you.
Yeah, so so it's one of them. And people have said to me, Tony, you say you know a lot. So when people point that out, you try and not do it, but you're not aware of it at the time.
For me, it's M. I say M a lot. It's a joining word, and it's better than silence, in my opinion.
And the thing is, you're blissfully unaware of these things until they're pointed out to you. Then you become more aware, and you sometimes become self-conscious of it, which stops you from being yourself. So if you've got these kind of idiosyncrasies, we'd call them, they sometimes manifest themselves when you're talking in an interview situation and people are hanging on to your every word, as journalists do when players are speaking. And lots of people now, I mean, you've seen it yourself when we've been speaking on the pod, you're not allowed any margin for error. Somebody will take you up on that. But I quite like that, actually. I find it highly amusing when that happens, because it just shows that you're human. We're not fallible, are we, Ryan?
Not I know of. Yeah, absolutely.
Not yet.
Just going through the press conference, I thought it was a really good press conference from James Forrest, some really detailed answers, which is absolutely brilliant to see, and it gives you plenty to work with when it comes to headlines, as well as any further articles that you find yourself doing over the course of the day. He was talking about how this was the first time in his career where he's been fully fit for games and he's not included in a squad, which goes to show you just how much success he's been a part of in the Celtic team.
Yeah.
You had players like Palma, Yang, Maeda as well, Mikey Johnson for a period too. They were all getting into the starting lineup, and James Forrest sometimes isn't even making the bench. What a turnaround in these past few months, and he's more than played his way, and more than played his part in success and a successful title-winning team.
Yeah, and I think the manager's got a lot to do with that as well, isn't he? The minute the manager said he was the best winger at the club, you knew he had a plan for him, didn't you? And and he's clearly told them, right, I'm going to say this about you, don't you dare let me down. And he's clearly trusted them with that mission of great importance to help deliver the title. And he's been proven right, hasn't he? And James Forrest just looks like a man possessed. And we spoke about it the other night. Would you genuinely be surprised if Steve Clarke drafts him in to the Scotland squad for Euro 2024? I wouldn't. He might miss out narrowly because he might think that, 32, he might not play a lot. But I would take him just for his influence and his experience and that knowledge and wisdom that he's got, Ryan, and that he can provide. And can guide some of the younger members of the squad. I would sometimes that can be, just look at the role Joe Hart's filled since he came to Celtic, guiding a lot of players, and I think James
he's a leader too, James Forrest.
Yeah.
But in a different way.
he's gone from being a wee boy, looking like a wee boy in press conference situations, playing grown-up football, to now being a real mature leader, an adult, and a presence in that dressing room now. And you can see, I think he's thriving on that. And you can see that he's a lot more comfortable in his own skin, isn't he? And comfortable he always has been comfortable in the Celtic jersey. But I think guys like that don't see it as a chore now that they maybe once was, and they find it hard to, be eloquent in those situations. But the last few times he's spoken, he's been very good. He spoke after the Dundee game, didn't he? And he was excellent. We were at Dens Park when he scored the 2 goals, and he was asked about the Scotland thing, and he didn't bat it off. He just said if it comes along, great. It would be magic, So you can only praise James Forrest for what he's provided to Celtic over the past couple of months. But again, another masterstroke from the manager, isn't it? He's played a few of them. Played a blinder for the past few months, it would seem, and everything that he's touched
since that Hearts press conference, he's been flawless, absolutely flawless in every single media capacity. And his decisions on the pitch as well. There's been a real upturn. I think we should go on and talk about the manager, shall we? Because I thought it was another great shown from the manager. A press conference, there's actually a fly flying about just over my screen. So apologies if you can see that. If I spot something, if you hear a bang as Tony's speaking, it's because I've squashed it. Brendan Rodgers was absolutely brilliant today once again. 20 minutes worth of just brilliant media coverage. This is where I prefer listening to Brendan Rodgers more than Ange Postecoglou, because I feel like you get more from Brendan Rodgers, and he's more comfortable in front of the media than the predecessor was, which is totally fine. Every manager has a different way of dealing with these. He's definitely media savvy and he's media trained, but he's got that little bit of bite to him as well, and a bit of intrigue whenever he says something. I thought him talking about his celebrations. Of course, he went home and watched the game again. See if Celtic playing. It was their best performance of the season for me, anyway, or it was right up there. No wonder he went home and watched it again. I think we all watched the highlights as soon as we got home, regardless of what time. I know I did. We get in at 1, 2 o'clock. We still watched the highlights. I'm not surprised that Brendan Rodgers was doing the same.
Name a Celtic supporter or player that wasn't watching that till ridiculous o'clock in the morning. Because it's what you want to do. I had to watch it again because I didn't see Matt O'Reilly's first goal in real time. It really annoyed me because you turned to me and said, "What a goal that was!" And out of my head, very my laptop, and I just saw Matt O'Reilly running away. So I think the manager was watching it, obviously for research purposes as well. But I think you could sit there and delight and purr over what you saw at Rugby Park, and I think he was delighted at that because I asked him, didn't I, if it was arguably the best performance over his 2 spells there, because we've been talking about that. And he agreed with that, didn't he? He agreed with the fact that in a pressure game, he said it was the best performance, didn't he? In a high pressure game, he said it was a bit, and on that surface. And he wasn't, and that was no slight on the Invincible team and all the achievements that have gone before it. He just sort of said, "Yep, that was." And he said it again today, didn't he? That's as close to the Celtic team that he wants moving forward, playing like that, with that tempo, that pace, that speed. And he's always banged on about that. That's what he wants. And then he was asked about, recruitment in the summer, and he said we're all kind of aligned. We're on the same page.
That's exactly what I was going to go into next.
There's plenty of time for that. So that was good to hear as well, Ryan.
The aligned comment is the one thing that really resonated with me listening to the manager this afternoon. If Dermot Desmond, Michael Nicholson, the rest of the board, and Brendan Rodgers are all aligned, and they've got the one goal together, and they share that same view, this is going to be a very exciting summer, isn't it, Tony? If they all believe, it could be. We've had false dawns before talking about Celtic in the transfer window, but I've just got a good feeling about this summer, and so does Brendan Rodgers. I think he's been given assurances that he's going to be backed. He's done his side of the bargain. He's brought the club into the Champions League for, is that the 3rd successive season now they'll be in the Champions League? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, three seasons with the riches that come with that, with the added riches that come with the new format of the Champions League 2. Sounds as if the manager who took a risk coming back to the club, he talks about that as well. It was a risk. He knew he wasn't going to be universally welcomed back to the club straight away. He's getting welcomed now, and I think he's going to get back in the summer.
He's earned the right to be back in the summer, Ryan, hasn't he? He's taken an Ange Postecoglou team, basically, and he's been foisted with substandard players. We've spoken about that before. He made a rod for his own back by saying there's not a player that comes in where he doesn't have the final say. But I think you'd have to say that some of those signings in the summer, and you only need to know Adam Ida was Brendan Rodgers signing, right? For a fact. So he knows a player.
Rodgers played against him, Norwich v Leicester. There was so many times he's seen him in the flesh.
But nobody really knew much about Adam Ida, but Rodgers spoke about him as if he was Cristiano Ronaldo or somebody, sensational.
Well, that was actually something that I was speaking about with somebody last night. Sorry to interrupt you. Jose Mourinho was actually interested in signing Adam Ida for Manchester United when it's quite funny you bring up Cristiano Ronaldo. Not that they're the same player. I wouldn't say that, not for a second, but there's been... It's not as if he hasn't been rated his whole career. He has been rated. Yeah. It's just all about nurturing that talent, the talent that he's got. He's seen that talent come out to play on Wednesday night. I think you'll see it coming out to play tomorrow afternoon too.
We'll go back and look at what Brendan Rodgers said when he signed.
Absolutely.
And he waxed lyrical about a guy who everybody was like, but he's the second or third choice at Norwich. And Brendan Rodgers spoke about him in glowing terms, right? And everybody was like, are you sure, Brendan? Brendan was sure. He knew exactly what he was bringing to Celtic. So that's why you sort of turn around and you say, if these guys are aligned, and hopefully they are, Brendan Rodgers has earned the right to go to them and say, see this big sum of money that we have on top of, the money that we're going to earn for, qualifying for the new Champions League format, and also the surplus of cash, which you guys made a big deal about during the AGM. He's earned the right to say to them, how about you give me X amount and I go and get XYZ players, positions that we've all wanted. And I'm talking about decent players, Ryan. No stopgaps, no projects, no ones for the future. Guys that are oven ready that can come in and make a difference to Celtic, the difference makers. And I don't know what bracket or range they'll be shopping in. Don't want to speculate, but you'd have to say if Rodgers can persuade that board to part with some decent cash to get a sprinkling of stardust, then you're going to go into that Champions League feeling a lot better about yourself and also hoping that you can compete, not just grab the odd point here or there, a result, claim a scalp. I'm talking about competing, because Rodgers saw the future when he saw the games against Lazio and he saw the games against Atletico Madrid, and he thought, do you know what? There's something to work with here. If I can win this title and then get my players, the players that I want, and I think the board see that now. I think they were kind of interested in the mood music to see what it was like when Brendan came back, and it was sticky at the start. As I said, there's been a wonderful reconnection with the supporters, the manager, the players, and hopefully the hierarchy. Didn't speak about them too much today, but he mentioned that word. We're aligned. They know what I want. They know where I want to take this team. It was a ... but we'll talk about that later.
Just putting just enough pressure on, not anything obvious or anything like that. Not a jab or a spike towards the board or anything like that. But just enough to say, I've done my part. You do yours now. Bring me 25 to 30 million transforms this team. By the way, I'm telling you that right now.
I'll see Ian May said, I've kept up my end of the bargain. It's now time for money men to deliver, and as you say, you're not asking them to be financially reckless, but can you imagine Celtic spending between 30 and 35 million on players. That's a difference maker, Ryan. That's a huge difference. And players that the manager actually wants. That the due diligence has been done, they've been scouted, and everything is fallen into place. And Celtic can afford that. Celtic can afford to do that now, right? I mean, remember Brendan Rodgers the first time round wanted Timothy Castagne, didn't he? There was 7-8 million.
Castagne, John McGinn, Piccini.
Right? So players of that ilk, who would have made a huge difference to Celtic, right? Castagne ends up going for tens of millions, doesn't he?
To Leicester under Brendan Rodgers.
To Leicester, right? And this was a guy who, for 6 or 7 million, I think, you could have gotten, and I think Celtic said that was just a bit out with their price range. Remember, it was 20 years ago Celtic were signing John Hartson for 6 million, Neil Lennon for 6 million, Chris Sutton for 6 million.
If you dot those signings around the team, it'll be transformational. You know, a couple of Carter Vickers here and there. Spend that outlay if you can get.
And the thing is, you'll get it all back, Ryan. You get it all back tenfold if the team's successful, and they do happen to go into Europe and become, you know, not a force to be reckoned with per se, but you just want them to improve on their recent European record. And you know, there's 8 games. I just want to go in with a wee bit of more hope, you know, and some expectation that a Celtic team are going to be the best, for once, be the best representation of themselves. When you go onto this stage, you look at Martin O'Neill's teams from 20 odd years ago. You went into Europe knowing you could get a result, not thinking or hoping or praying. You went toe to toe. Try that again. You went toe to toe with the best, Ryan, that European football had to offer, and you were just close, weren't you? In terms of the Champions League, obviously got to Seville in the UEFA Cup final, but you know, Celtic are one of the few teams in Champions League history to crash out of the group stage with 9 points because they won all their home matches. It's unprecedented. That, you know, clubs have qualified with 5 and 6 points, 7 points before. Incredible stuff. So, you know, that's what I want Celtic to try and, under Rodgers, to give them every tool necessary to do the job, Ryan. And I think there's a sea change. Keep talking about it, that recalibration, reset, mindset, new competition, be a new Celtic in it, be as competitive as you can be. And I think that's the box that the manager wants to tick, because I think he's confident in his own ability to be successful domestically. He now wants to take Celtic to that, as I said this morning, that fabled next level, and that next level is European football, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch upon quickly before we finish up? Just some nice comments about James Forrest having to break Billy McNeil's record to get a song in the team.
I love that. That was terrific, wasn't it?
And then some comments about Willie Collum at the end as well. Just saying that's a good appointment. He's got fantastic experience. But Rodgers knows what he's doing. I think he's the master of the media at this point in time, and I think he's letting everybody know about it, which is great to see.
Yeah, the James Forrest song. It's over to the creative types on the terraces and sections to come up with something for Forrest, or I might put my own mind to it, Ryan, at some point if I ever get time. But we never stop. We always seem to be working. As I say, I speak to you more than I speak to my wife at times. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I'll ask the wife. But there you go. But it's not that we don't enjoy it. We are fully committed to this, and we thank everybody who's joining us. Over 200 people, 230 people joining us on a Friday night. It's never ceased to amaze me, guys, that you come on and you give your thoughts as well. And we hope that you enjoy the entertainment we provide and the information we provide and all the stuff that we provide on the website. And we couldn't do it without you. And we say thank you for that.
Yep, absolutely. We will be back trying to think what time we'll be back at tomorrow. It's a 12:30 kickoff, so 11:15, 20
15
past.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Past 11, something. See, but traffic permitting, not weather permitting, it's going to be a scorcher tomorrow. But traffic permitting, I might need to leave a wee bit earlier in order to negate that. But we will be live with the team reaction ahead of what is set to be a great day, a beautiful day on Glasgow's East End. Looking forward to sampling all of that as Celtic are crowned league champions for the third season running. That has a good ring to it for sure. Once again, before we finish up, 6 months of access for just £1. Plus, you could win lunch with a Celtic legend, that being Martin O'Neill, who is no stranger to Celtic winning a league. Under his management, Brendan Rodgers will be doing the exact same tomorrow. If you want to have lunch with a Celtic legend, then please join us. All new and existing subscribers to the website are automatically entered into this competition. So get involved. You got to be in it to win it. Whatever you say, whatever cliche that you want to say with regards to the lottery or winning competitions, put it in there, because they've all escaped me and I was just about to say it and then I get tongue tie, which is absolutely brilliant. If you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the lottery, is what I was trying to say. Yeah, so get involved, guys, and please subscribe to the website. Tony, anything else you want to say?
Just want to flick this up. Graham, brilliant show, guys. Thank you, Graham. Hope we can spoil the part tomorrow. Graham, if you're subscribing a regular tuner and you regularly tune into the podcast, a big St Mirren fan, very knowledgeable about his football. But I said this morning, Graham, I don't know if you were on, but well done to your team. It's been a wonderful season for you guys.
A party atmosphere for St Mirren as well, because you get European football.
Here's hoping you don't spoil the party, but I wish you every success when you go into the Europa Conference League, sir, and enjoy tomorrow if you're going along, Graham, but not too much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will be back at round about 11 o'clock or nearer thereabouts. Until then, guys, have a great Friday night and we will see you all tomorrow morning. Cheers, guys.